Hey everybody, welcome to the Homebirth, the 537 week update. I got back from the midwife just a few minutes ago. It's a little later in the day, so I apologize for the strange lighting. Usually I have nice natural lighting. But it was kind of another one of those bummer appointments. Really, I'm feeling fine, baby's moving lots. Everything looks great, but my blood pressure continues to be a problem. So at home, like with other weeks, if I'm checking it myself or if I'm using like a blood pressure machine at a store, I typically run anywhere between about 110 to 120 on 60 to 80 for my blood pressure, which isn't bad. But as soon as I step in the office and I talk about anything that's remotely emotional, then it tends to climb up. So today it was 132 on 88, which is not horrible. 140 on 90 is typically in the nursing profession where we would start worrying about high blood pressure. I think the big worry is that it's going to keep climbing as I become more pregnant, and it's going to become an issue. So me and my midwife today had some honest talks about what if the home birth I want doesn't happen, and what is important to me. Is it the birth experience? Is it the outcome at the end? And so it's, you know, it's a loaded subject for me because I am very grateful that my son and I were okay after my second birth, which was the abruption, as many of you already know because I mentioned it every video. And I'm very jealous of my first son's birth because I went into it very naive and I asked for everything I wanted and I got everything I asked for. So it's, you know, there's a lot of things going on. Like I feel sad about the idea that I might not have that first experience ever again or one similar to it. I feel sad that this is how I'm going to end my birthing journey because we only plan on having 3 kids. So the idea of going out on a bit of a sour note is not what I want to do at all. So yeah, it's, you know, it's hard because I need to talk about these things and I need to talk about them with my midwives because we need to be on the same page. At the same time, I don't think it helps my blood pressure if it's already high to be talking about these things in appointments, but there you have it. You can't really do much about that. So even though I'm concerned about my blood pressure, the midwives, I mean, they are concerned. They're tracking it. Today they did some extra stuff, like they checked my reflexes again. Now normally when I'm not pregnant, I have very hypoactive reflexes, always have. And so I actually do have a decent reflex right now. So that is obviously a sign of pregnancy-induced hypertension or high blood pressure because you're pregnant. And so that's concerning. I'm not spilling any protein in my urine, at least on random dipsticks. I checked that myself at home. And like I said, typically my blood pressure is not too bad, but yeah. So basically she doesn't want to send me for any more testing now, but it could come up in the next couple weeks and it could get to the point where they don't recommend a home birth for me or they recommend an induction, which I would really like to avoid because I had Pitocin augmentation last time to speed up my labor so I didn't bleed out before I had my baby, and I don't really want to experience that again. And yeah, so right now I'm feeling really emotionally raw and kind of disheartened, even though I'm trying not to be. So but the funny side of it is earlier this week I was feeling very trusting of the fact, like in my heart of hearts I feel like I'm going to have the home birth I want. I just don't know if I can emotionally get there. And my midwife today, you know, she mentioned, she's like, I don't want you to hold on to this so tight. Excuse me. I don't want you to hold on to this so tight that it kind of slips through your grasp. And I realized that. And you know, we talked a little more about how traumatic my second son's birth was for me. And, you know, I really was lucky because it was about who was there with me. I felt really well supported in the moment, and I loved the people who I had there with me, which was, you know, both my midwives at different points during the birth. And, yeah, it's, but I am more guarded this time, and they know it. Like, she mentioned to me today that she knows that I'm more guarded. And I had to say, you know, that's not just with her, it's with everybody in my life. I don't know if I've really shared my feelings about not having a home birth with other people besides when I was in therapy. So, yeah, it's a little, I'm struggling right now, for sure. And that sucks. So I'm just thinking, what else? So, I mean, the bottom line is that she did say that they wanted to support me in any way they could. And, you know, it would be really great if I could finger point and, like, say exactly what they could do to make me feel better about the situation. But I also don't want them to lie to me about the fact that, oh, yeah, you'll definitely have your home birth if they know it's not going that way. So, yeah, it's kind of a rock and a hard place. In other news, we listened to the baby on the Doppler. I have no idea what the heart rate was because they don't like to ask, because I don't want to make any sort of assumptions on the sex based on the heart rate. Last week, the midwife who came to my home visit, she thought the baby was going to weigh about 7 pounds, 6 ounces when it was born. This midwife also had her prediction, but she wouldn't share it with me. So, yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to choose. And they didn't specify sex either. So, I think Kimberly, which is my second midwife, I think she has a hunch as to what it is, but sex-wise, but I don't think the other lady does. So, yeah, it's kind of fun to see that they do place bets, little gentleman bets on these things. Baby, when she palpated, is down really low. Still head down, obviously. And, yeah, I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe I won't go to 41 weeks. But, yeah, it's hard to know what's going to happen. So, what else? Yeah, I think this next week I'm going to focus on probably trying to up my protein intake to see if that'll help anything with the with my blood pressure, even though I know it's not high at home. And I think I'm going to well, I know I'm meeting with my doula tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. I haven't seen her in about a month and a bit, so it'll be good to touch base with her. But otherwise, yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. As far as baby prep goes, we are fully ready for this kid to come. Everything I wanted to get washed and done pretty much is done. The only thing I haven't done is clean our basement, which is our family room and our guest room. The guest room has a lot of papers just from bills and stuff that we haven't filed away. And it won't take long once we get doing it, but it's sitting down to do it. And then our family room just needs a really good tidy away because kids' toys have taken over again. So yeah, it's a strange week for me. I'm hoping that mood-wise and being at peace with how this is going to go will turn around for me. In other news, let's see. Kind of lost track. Next week on the 24th, some of my girlfriends are throwing me a mother's blessing meeting. So I don't really know what's going to go on or if they're going to have anything special planned, but we'll see. I'm hoping to get my belly hennaed, which I've never done for my previous pregnancies. I'm just waiting to hear back from a friend of mine who does that about good dates for us both. And the weekend, not this weekend, but the next weekend, I'm also going to be a test subject for exam for a obstetrics practitioners here in town. So I get to be the person that they come in and do an assessment on. Now today at our visit, my midwife and I realized maybe that wasn't the best idea, because if I'm white coating for them, it's probably going to be really bad if I'm anxious for these students who are trying to pass their exam if I'm white coating for them. So I'm really hoping that I can be really zen and calm and not quite so crazy by the time that rolls around. Anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll try and answer them. Oh, one last thing. So here's a fun pregnancy related thing. If anybody's been watching my videos from the beginning, on my neck you can see this huge mole that I've developed, and I always had a very small red mole there. It was probably, well, because I'm Canadian, it'll be metric, probably at the very most 2 to 3 millimeters by 4 to 5 millimeters. So I mean, very small, like less than half the size of a pencil eraser. And definitely not that raised at all. And I've had that since about 2003. And never thought anything of it, never got it looked at to have it removed, like doctors had seen it. But in the last month and a bit, if you watch from my first video to now, it has grown so big, so fast. So I went to my family doctor to get it checked out, and it's a lovely thing called pyogenic granuloma. And basically what it is, it's a cluster of capillaries, which is the very small blood vessels that we have. It's the smallest blood vessel. And granulation tissue, so like tissue when you're healing, or scar tissue. And what ends up happening with it is, yeah, sometimes when you're pregnant, it just kind of goes into hyper overdrive and really quickly gets big. And that's what's happened here. So I've got a referral in to go see a dermatologist about getting it taken off. But yeah, this is probably the strangest pregnancy side effect I've ever had for 3 pregnancies.